you know God has his hands on you. I mean, you dedicated your whole life to this, man. You gave us your whole life, bro. Y'all know what I'm saying? I think I speak for everyone when I just gotta say, thank you, bro. Because directly or indirectly, I think you taught all of us to believe in ourselves. You taught us all, showed us what purpose was. I'm not trying to name your albums. It's just a coincidence. But when you look at your family, you know, I've seen your beautiful child, your wife, who loves and supports you so much, your family. You know, you're blind behind the miracles you've seen. You're like me and you live in faith, bro. And I just gotta say, I'm so proud because I've seen a lot of the things you've gone through. I have. You know, I've seen you at times where it wasn't always beautiful, but you fought through it. And in a world where everyone's trying to take over the world, you give over the world, bro. People are taking advantage of you. They have taken and taken, and never once have you turned into them. You always have been giving and figured out a way to persevere. So I'm speaking on behalf of everybody. Thank you so much, bro.
There are nights in the California desert that belong to the history books before they are even finished. There are performances that begin as concerts and end as something closer to a reckoning, a settling of accounts between an artist and his own battered past. April 18, 2026 was one of those nights. And when Big Sean walked out onto that Coachella main stage and stood beside Justin Bieber under a sky full of stars and spotlights, what followed was not simply a musical collaboration. It was a public baptism, a declaration that one of the most scrutinized young men in the history of celebrity had survived everything the world threw at him and come out on the other side still standing, still generous, still giving. Justin Bieber headlined Coachella Weekend 2 on the night of April 18th. Structuring his performance into 3 distinct acts that moved from brand new material through an acoustic stretch, and then into a deeply nostalgic dive into his catalog. The crowd had already been through an emotional roller coaster by the time the third act arrived. He had already performed an extraordinary acoustic set heavy with songs from his 2025 album Swag, and its companion record Swag 2, and had taken the unusual and deeply personal step of sitting at a computer on stage and singing along to snippets of his old YouTube hits. It was a gesture of remarkable vulnerability. Here was a global superstar not hiding behind production or theatrics, but instead rewinding the tape of his own life in front of tens of thousands of people, letting them see where he came from and how far he had traveled. Billie Eilish, a longtime Bieber superfan who first met him at Coachella back in 2019, was brought on stage so he could serenade her with One Less Lonely Girl. And the moment went nuclear on social media before the song had even finished. Footage captured Hailey Bieber giving Billie a nudge past the barricade to join her husband on stage, where Justin led her to a stool and wrapped his arms around her as he sang. It was intimate, playful, and charged with the kind of joy that cannot be manufactured. But even that singular image was about to be eclipsed by what came next. Big Sean made his surprise appearance to join Bieber on his top 10 Billboard Hot 100 hit, As Long As You Love Me, a track that originally appeared on Bieber's 2012 Believe album, and had become one of the defining pop and hip-hop crossover moments of that era. The two then moved into No Pressure, and even tackled a partial cover of Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River, with the crowd matching every word. The chemistry between them was undeniable, a reminder that their connection predated fame's most corrosive years, and had survived the wreckage of both their separate public storms intact. But then Big Sean did something no one in that audience fully anticipated. He grabbed the microphone, turned to face Bieber, and the concert paused to become something else entirely. "Before I get off stage, I just want to say you know God has his hands on you," Sean told the crowd and his friends simultaneously. "You dedicated your whole life to this, you gave us your whole life. I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you, bro, directly or indirectly. I think you showed us what purpose was." Silence, and then the desert roared. Sean did not stop there. He went further, into the territory of things friends rarely say out loud in private, let alone in front of 100,000 people. "I gotta say I'm so proud. I've seen a lot of the things you've gone through," Sean continued. "I've seen you at times where it wasn't always beautiful, but you fought through it. In a world where everyone's trying to take over the world, you give over the world, bro." It was a sentence that landed like a thesis statement. A description of a man who had been given every reason to become hardened, bitter, extractive, and had instead chosen again and again to remain open, to keep giving, to keep showing up. Sean went even deeper, adding that people had taken advantage of Bieber repeatedly over the years, yet not once had Bieber allowed himself to become like them. That is an extraordinary thing to say publicly. It is also, for anyone who has followed the full arc of Justin Bieber's life from Canadian YouTube prodigy to tabloid target to broken young man to recovered husband and father, entirely and painfully accurate. Bieber absorbed the words, visibly moved, and then responded simply, "Big Sean, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for saying those words. That means a lot to me." There was no performance in that reply. No rehearsed humility. Just a man receiving something rare and real, and not quite knowing what to do with it except hold it gently. Sean also took a moment to mention that he had recently had the chance to meet Hailey and the couple's baby, Jack, and made clear just how proud he was to witness Justin's journey from the darkest chapters to the present moment of triumph. It connected the personal to the public in a way that reminded everyone watching that behind the album sales and the streaming records and the Coachella headliner billing, there is a human story still very much being written. Bieber's merch figures from Coachella Weekend 1 had already shattered records, with his SKOLRK brand reportedly selling over $5 million worth of product in a single weekend, obliterating the previous record by a factor of 3. The numbers told one version of the comeback story. Big Sean told another. And the version Big Sean told was the one that will outlast the box office tallies. The full performance attracted 140 million views across platforms, a number that speaks to the hunger audiences still have for Bieber, for his story, for evidence that someone the world tried to consume whole could still walk back out into the light. What made that night historic was not the guest list, as extraordinary as it was. It was the moment a peer looked at Justin Bieber in front of the world and said without blinking, that he had shown them all what purpose looks like. In the Coachella desert, under that impossible sky, something was finally, fully, and beautifully acknowledged.